We're here representing the Industrial Base Analysis and Sustainment Program in the Department of Defense for one of our key performers, the cast and steel competition. There's a certain degree into which we can talk and statistics and economic babble about workforce development and about supply chains, but what it comes down to are the people who are actually out there making the parts. So what we have to return to is when we had won the First World War. It was not just because of American industry, but it was because of the energies and talents of a patriotic working class who had put their efforts together to defeat our enemies both on the battlefield and on the production line. And we're at that stage where we have to do that again. And so with efforts like the cast and steel competition, what we are doing is providing young people with another avenue that is meaningful and also will contribute to your country's national security. When it comes to investing in the next generation of skilled workers in manufacturing, what we want to be able to do is we want to ensure that we do not have the same interrupted pipelines that we had before. The skills and talents and processes that are being taught here are not those that can be simply digitized into a file and then passed down through a lecture in a college auditorium. These are things that require extensive apprenticeships and could, in a sense, almost be reduced to tribal knowledge if we don't successfully pass this on to the next generation. For that to happen, there has to be the excitement, the energy, and the motivation that Cast and Steel has been able to provide for its students and its participants. And so even we on the IBAS program, when we observe the Cast and Steel competition, and the participation of the kids and their enthusiasm, what we see are not dry lectures on the composition of alloys or their applications for structural components. What we have seen is kids that have found that there is an alternative meaning and pursuit to take in life than doom scrolling on social media platforms and trying to figure out what the next hustle should be. We're demonstrating to them not just a way forward, not just a career, but a way that would give their life meaning beyond the sort of digital dystopias that we've tried to offer our generations for the last 30 years. It was only a generation ago that the U.S. had the industrial might and the industrial deterrence needed not only just to win wars, but to deter them. We're hoping to return to that once great manufacturing base that we once had. I've been to a number of conferences and industry events where you walk around and you have someone like me from a non-engineering background that comes around and, people are going on about how they had experimented with different alloys and so on. But you come here and here all of that science, all of that practice has been translated into real visceral production. You have people that aren't just experimenting with data on a spreadsheet. They're trying to see how this translates into real-world impacts. And not just the swords, but to the way that those swords interact with their human users. And those human users, I see the students, develop relationships with the swords that they have. And just as the cavalrymen would develop relationships with their mounted steeds, you see the students developing relationships with the swords that give you into some greater insight into why our troops might develop a special relationship with their particular mounted steeds out in the battlefield. With the students, you see refracted in a microcosm that sort of energy and passion between man and machine, man and steel, that gets lost in the science and the paperwork. And here is where you see the talents and energies of the Cast and Steel team reproduced in real time into the real world. And I think that visceral, almost metaphysical manifestation of the meaning of what we're doing is reflected best in something as fun and as awesome as the Cast and Steel competition.